I couldn't build a miniature house for one granddaughter without building a house for each of my other granddaughters. So after I had completed Rachel's house, I spent about a year trying to decide what type of architecture to build for Jenifer. I finally decided on a Victorian house that I saw on the corner of Government Boulevard and Georgia Avenue in Mobile, Alabama. This home was quite large and had all of the gingerbread that I was looking for in a home. However, it was so large that I had to cut down on the size and also leave the back of the house open so that it would be easy to view all of the rooms of the house. One thing was certain: I wasn't going to build another replica as I did in Rachel's house, because I didn't want to have to spend all of that time getting everything so exact. The home that I copied this dollhouse from was formerly known as the Macon-Gordon home and is presently known as the Tissington home. It had a lot of porch work and a lot of beautiful ornamental woodwork on it, and I just fell in love with this house and did duplicate quite a bit of it, but did not try to duplicate any of the interior rooms. Now let's go to Jenifer's house and we'll look over some of the details and see. What I'm holding in my hand is a picture of the actual home that was taken several years ago during Mardi Gras. As you can see, the Mardi Gras maids. And this is the home that gave me the inspiration to build the dollhouse that's directly behind it. And as you can see, I have incorporated most of the features of the Victorian house, and I want to point out some of the things that were very interesting to me. Although I was able to buy the rails and the spindles, it was necessary for me to hand cut the little brackets that are up on each side. And although I was able to buy the rails, I couldn't buy anything that was curved, so I had to hand form this portion upstairs and downstairs of the curved portion of the rail. Also note the sideboard of the lapped boards on the tower. They had to be bent also, and that was quite a job. Notice the San Francisco type architecture of the windowsills, and we have some beautiful stained glass in the tower windows that I doubt whether they'll show up under the present light, but when seen with a light behind it, they're quite beautiful. I didn't know what to do with this particular room, so I made a sewing room out of it. And a little further back, we have some French doors that lead into a hallway coming up the staircase from downstairs in the foyer. The shingles I mentioned were several thousand, had to be cut and so on. And you notice the brick on the chimneys, they were all handmade. And also in the foundation, we have some brick that required mortaring, and was very interesting. And I would like to point out some of the finer details of the flooring in the porch. This is the flooring that I was talking about, that has the mitered edges of the strips of wood that was put down one at a time. Also, we have the typical porch swing used in those days, and this was where the people spent a lot of time sitting and just watching the traffic go by. In those days there wasn't any air conditioning, so it was quite common to be sitting on the porch watching the people go by also. We have a beautiful stained glass front doors that will probably be better seen from the inside looking out, which we'll try to show as we come around the other side of the house. Upstairs there are pretty plants. That was quite common. Now we're coming into the front foyer through our stained glass doors that I talked about. And as you can see, we have some beautiful handmade needlepoint rugs, and the colors are coordinated with the wallpaper. In the rear is a handmade walnut staircase, and on the side is a beautiful grandfather clock that has a quartz movement and has been running continuously ever since it was put in, and keeps very accurate time. The foyer leads into a living room, and it is very typical of the Victorian style furniture and furnishings that was used during this era. The needlepoint rug in this room also was coordinated with the wallpaper and was also made by Sarah. In fact, all of the needlepoint rugs that you will see throughout the house were all of Sarah's handiwork. Pearl Brook, a very close friend of ours, made all the beautiful drapes and curtains that you will see, and also the bedspreads that you will see in the bedrooms. In the rear of this living room, you can see a typical ornamental fireplace with a warm fire glowing in the rear, and just above the fireplace is a replica of Sarah's portrait that is found in her living room, and Jenifer is very proud to have her grandmother's portrait over her fireplace, just like in her grandmother's house. We go from the living room into our dining room, and the table is already set for food, and we have some beautiful electrical chandeliers that are hanging from the ceiling, and the entire house is lit up with various type lights using a 12-volt system, in addition to a 110-volt system under and behind these blinds that give us additional light. We go from the dining room into a kitchen, which is entered into through this door, and here again we have a old-fashioned wood stove, hand pump at the sink. Incidentally, somebody forgot to wash the dishes. They've got them just piled up in there. We have a wood block, chopping block, and the cafe curtains in the rear were made by Pearl, and just above we have very pretty stained glass window, and here we have a old-fashioned ice chest instead of the typical refrigerator that we are so accustomed to. And then going out of the kitchen, it leads us to the back porch, where they either dispose of the garbage or have another way of getting into the kitchen without going through the entire home. Now we're going to take a little run through the downstairs again to give you a little better close-up view of some of the other features that I did not mention as we went through, such as the medallions in the ceiling and other things. Now when we leave the foyer, we go upstairs, and we come out upstairs in a hallway that leads into both the bathroom and the master bedroom. Now we're upstairs in the master bedroom, and in the rear of the bedroom you can see the little sitting area, and also the furniture is of a true Victorian style. To the left near the window we have a old-fashioned shaving stand with its mirror and the old-fashioned shaving mug and brush, and the bowl of water and the pitcher. In the front we have another little sitting area, and someone left the newspaper on the floor. Coming out of the master bedroom, we go into a bathroom that has the old-fashioned toilet water closet that flushes when you pull the chain. In the rear of the room is a beautiful stained glass window and a tub that is lined with wood. In fact, all of the fixtures were lined with wood. Incidentally, this was made from a kit and is easy to assemble. In the rear of the bathroom is the hallway that I spoke of before that leads to the staircase, and this hallway also opens into both the master bedroom, this bathroom, and the continuing bedrooms. This next bedroom was heated by either a coal or a wood stove that you see on the left side. In the rear is one of the old-fashioned Victrolas that cranked by hand, had records in the compartments, and probably had been played over and over and over again. The rug that you see on the floor was another one of Sarah's handicraft needlepoints, and there again her colors are coordinated with the wallpaper, which was the type of wallpaper used in those days that either had fruit or flowers. The drapes in the rear were made by Pearl, as were all of the drapes in this house. And as a change-up, you will see one of the old-fashioned brass beds. Notice the bedspread is of the same flowers as the wallpaper. Now we're into the nursery room, and we have a cute little brass bed. We also have a bassinet in the rear, and baby is crawling all over the bearskin rug. On the dresser is a framed picture taken at different stages in Jenifer's life, and these are actual photographs of Jenifer. The pictures on the wall were cut out of magazines and just put to the wall for decorations. This is an overall view of the rear of the house, and as you can see, by leaving it entirely open, all of the rooms of the house can be viewed at one time. Incidentally, I failed to mention that this house has an attic that is at the present time not being used, but it's being used for the 12-volt transformer system that's supplying the current to this house. Just as I did at Rachel's house, I took this house and put it on the lawn and took a picture of it to have it framed. As you can see, it came out quite well and is a very good example of the Tissington home on Government Boulevard.